Greetings. This is Brother Eli with another episode of Bible Truth Revealed. Today's topic is, when is the true Sabbath day? That is, when is the true Sabbath day? By this I mean, how can we identify the seventh day that the Most High set apart as a day of rest? Many Sabbath keepers observe a day of rest on different days of each week, depending on the understanding of the scriptures or the doctrine of their church. The purpose of this teaching is to explain when my family and I observe the weekly Sabbath and why we choose to do so on that day. The points that I will make in this teaching are as follows. 1. The seventh day was set aside as the Sabbath or rest day from the very beginning. 2. The children of Israel are required to rest on the seventh day of every week. Number 3. The knowledge of the true seventh day has never been completely lost. 4. The Lunar or Luni-Solar Sabbath doctrine does nothing to help us identify the true seventh day. And 5. The knowledge of the true seventh day is still available for diligent seekers of the truth. Point 1. The seventh day was set aside as the Sabbath or rest day from the very beginning. Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 to 3. That's Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 to 3, and I will be reading from the Brenton Septuagint translation. It reads thus: And the heavens and the earth were finished, and the whole world of them. And God finished on the sixth day his works which he made. So the Most High finished his works on the sixth day. He worked from days 1 to 6, and he was finished. It continues. And he ceased on the seventh day from all his works which he made. That means that he rested on the seventh day. Verse 3. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he ceased from all his works which God began to do. So we see that the Most High set apart the seventh day as the day of rest. He worked on days 1 to 6 and rested on the seventh day. Point 2. The children of Israel are required to rest on the seventh day of every week. After delivering the children of Israel from slavery in Egypt, the Most High commanded our forefathers to rest on the seventh day of every week. Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 to 11. Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 to 11 reads thus: Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Holy means set apart. It is not the same as other days. Verse 9. 6 days thou shalt labor, and shalt perform all thy work. But on the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. So we know that the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Most High God. On it thou shalt do no work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy servant, nor thy maidservant, thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any cattle of thine, nor the stranger that sojourns with thee. Verse 11. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth, that 6 literal days in which he made the heaven and the earth and the sea and all things in them, and rested on the 7th day. He rested on the literal 7th day of the literal creation week. Therefore, the Lord blessed the 7th day and hallowed it. So the world was created in 6 literal days, and the Most High rested on the literal 7th day, and that's why he commanded the Israelites to do as he did, which was to rest on the literal 7th day. The commandment to work for 6 days, then rest on the 7th day, is so important that it was restated several times in the scriptures. Exodus chapter 23, verse 12. Exodus chapter 23, verse 12 reads thus: 6 days shalt thou do thy works, and on the 7th day there shall be rest, that thine ox and thine ass may rest, and that the son of thy maidservant and the stranger may be refreshed. So that's work 6 days and rest on the 7th day. Exodus chapter 34, verse 21. Exodus chapter 34, verse 21 says, 6 days thou shalt work, but on the 7th day thou shalt rest. There shall be rest in seed time and harvest. In seed time and harvest means that we must keep the 7th day Sabbath regardless of the season. Whether it's time to plant crops or to reap a harvest, the Sabbath must be kept on the 7th day of every week without exception. Exodus chapter 35, verse 2. Exodus chapter 35, verse 2 reads thus: 6 days shalt thou perform works, but on the 7th day shall be rest, a holy Sabbath, a rest for the Lord. Everyone that does work on it, let him die. Again, we see that the Most High takes the 7th day so seriously that he applied the death penalty to the breaking of the Sabbath commandment. It is extremely important for us to know which day of the week is the 7th day so that we can properly keep this commandment. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verses 13 to 14. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verses 13 to 14 says, 6 days thou shalt work, and thou shalt do all thy works. But on the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt do in it no work. So we have to rest on the 7th day. Thou and thy son and thy daughter, thy manservant and thy maidservant, thine ox and thine ass, and all thy cattle, and the stranger that sojourns in the midst of thee, that thy manservant may rest, and thy maid, and thine ox, as well as thou. The people of the Most High must rest on the 7th day of every week. Our guests, employees, and animals must also rest on that day. No exceptions. Now let's look at what happened the first time that the Most High tested our forefathers to see if they would rest on the 7th day as he commanded. Exodus chapter 16. I will read verses 4 to 5, verses 22 to 30, and verse 35. That's Exodus chapter 16, verses 4 to 5, verses 22 to 30, and verse 35. It says, "And the Lord said to Moses, Behold, I will rain bread upon you out of heaven, and the people shall go forth, and they shall gather their daily portion for the day, that I may try them, whether they will walk in my law or not." So the Most High is going to give this law to the people and test them to see if they are going to obey or not. Verse 5. "And it shall come to pass on the 6th day, that they shall prepare whatsoever they have brought in, and it shall be double of what they shall have gathered for the day daily." So the Most High rained manna from heaven on days 1 to 6. The people were commanded to take only what they needed for each day from days 1 to 5. But on the 6th day, they were commanded to take double, because there would be no manna on the 7th day. The 7th day is the day of rest, the Sabbath. Verse 22. "And it came to pass on the 6th day, they gathered double what was needed, 2 homers for one man. And all the chiefs of the synagogue went in and reported it to Moses. So the chiefs of the synagogue went and confirmed to Moses that the people were collecting double, that's twice as much manna, on the 6th day. Verse 23. "And Moses said to them, Is not this the word which the Lord spoke? Tomorrow is the Sabbath, a holy rest to the Lord. Bake that he will bake, and seize that he will seize, and all that is over leave to be laid by for the morrow." So Moses is saying, yes, this is what the Most High said. Tomorrow is the Sabbath, there'll be no manna, so the people are correct to collect double on the 6th day. Twice as much on the 6th day, because no manna would be given to them on the 7th day. Verse 24. "And they left of it till the morning, as Moses commanded them, and it stank not, neither was there a worm in it. And Moses said, Eat that today, for today is a Sabbath to the Lord. It shall not be found in the plain. 6 days ye shall gather it, and on the 7th day is a Sabbath." The 7th day is always a Sabbath, no exception. It continues, "For there shall be none on that day. And it came to pass on the 7th day that some of the people went forth to gather, and found none." So they've just failed the test. Verse 28. "And the Lord said to Moses, How long are ye unwilling to hearken to my commands and my law? See, for the Lord has given you this day," that's the 7th day, "as the Sabbath. Therefore, he has given you on the 6th day the bread of 2 days. Ye shall sit each of you in your houses. Let no one go forth from his place on the 7th day." Verse 30. "And the people kept Sabbath on the 7th day." And that's all the Most High wanted, for the people to keep the Sabbath on the 7th day. We are supposed to rest on the 7th day of every week without fail. Verse 35. "And the children of Israel ate manna 40 years. Until they came to the land, they ate the manna until they came to the region of Phoenicia." So for 40 years, the Most High rained manna from days 1 to 6. On the 6th day, the people collected enough manna for 2 days because there would be no manna on the 7th day. We have a continued cycle of work 6 days, rest on the 7th day. The 7th day, the Sabbath, is the day of rest. It is holy to the Most High. Let's examine another scripture which proves that the 7th day of every week is the Sabbath, the day of rest. Leviticus chapter 23, I will read verse 3 and verses 15 to 16. That's Leviticus chapter 23, verse 3 and verses 15 to 16. Verse 3 says, 6 days shalt thou do works, but on the 7th day is the Sabbath, a rest, a holy convocation to the Lord. Thou shalt not do any work. It is a Sabbath to the Lord in all your dwellings. Verse 15, and ye shall number to yourselves from the day after the Sabbath, from the day on which ye shall offer the sheaf of the heave offering, 7 full weeks. Until the morrow after the last week ye shall number 50 days, and shall bring a new meat offering to the Lord. So there are 7 days in each week, and the Most High commanded the Israelites to count 7 full weeks. That's a total of 49 days. 7 times 7 is 49. The count started the day after the Sabbath. That means that every 7th day was a Sabbath day. On day 50, which is the day after the last Sabbath day, they would bring a new meat offering to the Lord. This makes it very clear that the 7th day, without fail, is always the Sabbath day. Point 3. The knowledge of the true 7th day has never been completely lost. Many people believe that the enemies of the Most High have changed the times so that we can no longer know which day is the 7th day. However, our oppressors' enforcement of the Julian calendar, the Gregorian calendar, and so forth, cannot change the days that were established by the Most High. They can only call the days by different names. And in most cases, they chose to call them by the names of their gods. For example, they dedicated a day to the sun and called it Sunday. To the false god Thor, they dedicated the day which is commonly referred to as Thursday. To Saturn, they dedicated the day which is commonly referred to as Saturday, and so forth. However, days 1 to 6 have always been days 1 to 6, and day 7 has always been and will always be the day of rest, also known as the Sabbath day. Even if this knowledge is lost to the majority of the world's population, there are still those who know which day is the true 7th day of each week. Quite frankly, most people couldn't care less which day is the true 7th day of the week because it has nothing to do with them. It was given to the children of Israel as a sign between us and the Most High. Let's read that in Exodus chapter 31, verses 12 to 17. That's Exodus chapter 31, verses 12 to 17, and it reads thus. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Do thou also charge the children of Israel, saying, take heed and keep my Sabbath. This charge is for the children of Israel. It continues, for they are a sign with me and among you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that sanctifies you. The Most High God sanctifies the children of Israel, and he gave us the Sabbath as a sign between us and him. Verse 14, and ye shall keep the Sabbath, because this is holy to the Lord for you. It does not say for everybody or for every person on planet Earth. It's talking to the children of Israel and saying that the Sabbath is holy to the Lord for the children of Israel. It continues, he that profanes it shall surely be put to death. Everyone shall do a work on it. That soul shall be destroyed from the midst of his people. 6 days thou shalt do works, but the seventh day is the Sabbath, a holy rest to the Lord. Everyone who shall do a work on the seventh day shall be put to death. Verse 16, and the children of Israel, the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe them throughout their generations. It is a perpetual, which means never-ending, covenant with me and the children of Israel. It's not a perpetual covenant between the Most High God and everybody on planet Earth. It is a perpetual covenant with the Most High God and the children of Israel. It continues, it is a perpetual sign with me. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth, and on the seventh day he ceased and rested. As stated earlier, the Most High God made the heaven and the earth in 6 literal days and rested on the seventh literal day, and that's why he's commanded the children of Israel to work for 6 literal days and rest on the seventh literal day of every single week. Despite this very clear instruction to keep the Sabbath day holy throughout our generations, there are rebellious Israelites who falsely claim that we cannot keep the Sabbath in the lands of our captivity. For a thorough refutation of this erroneous claim, please listen to my teaching entitled, Can We Keep the Sabbath Today? That is, can we keep the Sabbath today? As stated earlier, many people believe that the times have been changed so much and so often that it is now impossible to know which day of the week is the true seventh day. They support this theory by quoting from Daniel chapter 7 verse 25, which speaks about the fourth beast changing times and law. Let's examine this claim in Daniel chapter 7. I will read verses 23 and 25. That's Daniel chapter 7 verses 23 and 25. And he said, the fourth beast shall be the first kingdom on the earth, which shall excel all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and trample and destroy it. The kingdom in which we are living today is the fourth beast that is destroying the earth on which we live. It's trampling it more than any other kingdom that came before it. Verse 25. And he shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. The fourth beast, which is the current kingdom, continues to wear out the saints of the Most High, which are the children of Israel, and shall think to change times and law. And power shall be given into his hand for a time and times and half a time. Those who read verse 25 and conclude that the fourth beast has completely destroyed all knowledge of the true seventh day are missing a very important key word. The verse does not say that he shall change times and law. It says that he shall think to change times and law. If the fourth beast was meant to be successful in changing the times to the point that everyone would lose knowledge of the true seventh day, this verse would not use the word think. It would simply say he shall change times and law. The word think in the context of verse 25 means that the fourth beast would try to change times and law. He tried to change the times so that we can no longer identify the seventh day to keep it holy. The fourth beast wants to completely disconnect us from the Most High. Among other things, he was very successful in convincing most of the world that the new year starts in the dead of winter. He also convinced most people that we are living in the 21st century, although the world was created much earlier than 2100 years ago. Finally, most people are fully convinced that the day starts at night. For evidence that the day does not start at night, please listen to my teaching entitled, When Does the Day Begin? According to the Scriptures. That's when does the day begin according to the Scriptures. So, to be perfectly clear, the fourth beast has indeed changed times and law, but not completely. He has had limited success. The knowledge of the true seventh day is still available for those who diligently seek it. Now, let's examine Daniel chapter 7 verse 25 in different Bible versions so I can demonstrate that the word think in the context of this verse means that the fourth beast would try to change times and law. The New King James Version says, and shall intend to change times and law. The International Standard Version says, he'll attempt to alter times and laws. And the New International Version says, try to change the set times and the laws. Again, if the fourth beast was meant to be successful in completely changing the times to the point that everyone would lose knowledge of the true seventh day, this verse would not use the word think, intend, attempt, or try. It would simply say he shall change times and law. Point number 4. The Lunar or Luni-Solar Sabbath doctrine does nothing to help us identify the true Sabbath day. Based on a misunderstanding of Daniel chapter 7 verse 25 and other scriptures, many well-meaning people believe that we have completely lost knowledge of the true seventh-day Sabbath, so it is not sufficient to simply work 6 days, then rest on the seventh day of the week, as the Most High commanded. Instead, they search the scriptures for other ways to calculate the seventh day. Realizing that the months and the time of the feast days are based on the moon, they reason that the seventh day of each week must somehow be determined by the moon as well. Let's examine Genesis chapter 1 so I can demonstrate that the moon does not tell us which is the seventh day of the week. Genesis chapter 1, I will read verses 16 to 19. That's Genesis chapter 1, verses 16 to 19, and it reads thus. And God made the two great lights. So we see already it's talking about the sun and the moon. The greater light for regulating the day, that's the sun, and the lesser light for regulating the night, that's the moon. The stars also. And God placed them in the firmament of the heaven so as to shine upon the earth and to regulate the day, that's the job of the sun, and night, the job of the moon, and to divide between the light and the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fourth day. We have just read that the moon was created on the fourth day of the week. This means that the seventh day was 3 days after the moon appeared. As such, the moon did not indicate the seventh day of the week. The Most High simply worked for 6 days and rested on the seventh day, just as He commanded us to do throughout all our generations. Those who subscribe to the Lunar or Luni-Solar Sabbath doctrine believe that we must count 7 days after the new moon in order to identify the Sabbath days for that month. Therefore, they claim that depending on when the new moon comes, the Sabbath day can fall on any day of the week. In other words, one cannot simply work for 6 days and rest on the seventh day, as the Most High commanded. There are many scriptures that show that the moon is used to calculate the beginning of a new month and the feast days. However, not one scripture states that the moon indicates the seventh day of the week. Additionally, as the Lunar or Luni-Solar Sabbath doctrine does not follow the pattern of consistently working 6 days and resting on every seventh day, it does nothing to help us identify the true seventh day of the week. Point 5. The knowledge of the true seventh day is still available for diligent seekers of the truth. So the big question is, when exactly is the seventh day? Originally, there were days 1 to 6. Then the seventh day was called Shabbat or Sabbath, which means rest. So that was the day of rest, the seventh day. As people gathered together in different countries and cultures, especially with the introduction of new calendars, most of them abandoned the original Shabbat. For example, according to SavvyTime.com, the day commonly referred to as Monday is the first day of the week in the following countries: Armenia, Bulgaria, Croatia, Czech Republic, Greece, Indonesia, Italy, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Russia, Serbia, Slovakia, Spain, and Ukraine. This means that they consider the day commonly referred to as Sunday to be the seventh day of the week. However, a close study of the official languages of these countries reveals that the original Shabbat or Sabbath is the day which is commonly referred to as Saturday. This is how the day referred to as Saturday is represented in these languages: Armenian, Shabbat; Bulgarian, Sabota; Croatian, Sobota; Czech, Sobota; Greek, Sabato; Indonesian, Sabtu; Italian, Sabato; Polish, Sobota; Portuguese, Sabado; Romanian, Sambata; Russian, Sobota; Serbian, Sobota; Slovak, Sobota; Spanish, Sabado; Ukrainian, Sobota. So we can see very clearly that the day which the English-speaking world commonly refers to as Saturday is Shabbat, according to all these languages. To reiterate, all of these countries consider the seventh day to be the day which is commonly referred to as Sunday. Their languages reveal that the Shabbat, and hence the legitimate seventh day, is the day that is commonly referred to as Saturday. Furthermore, this fact is not limited to these 15 languages. There are dozens of world languages which reveal that the true seventh day is a day that is commonly referred to as Saturday. Here are a few more: Arabic, Sabbath; Bosnian, Sobota; Corsican, Sabatu; Georgian, Sabati; Latin, Sabbatum; Maltese is Sabbat; Slovene, Sobota; Somali, Sabti; Sudanese, Sabtu. The 24 languages that I have just presented are only a small sample of the languages that reveal the true Shabbat or Sabbath. Those who search diligently will discover that there are dozens of other languages, including ancient languages, that also point to the Sabbath or seventh day being the day that the English-speaking world commonly refers to as Saturday. Centuries ago, most of the world was conquered by the Roman Catholic Church. As part of this conquest, the majority of the world's population was forced to acknowledge the day of the sun, also known as Sunday, as the seventh day of the week. The converts' catechism of Catholic doctrine, which is a series of questions and answers compiled by the Roman Catholic Church for converts to Catholicism, states the following, and I quote: "Which is the Sabbath day? Saturday is the Sabbath day. Why do we observe Sunday instead of Saturday? We observe Sunday instead of Saturday because the Catholic Church in the Council of Laodicea, AD 336, transferred the solemnity from Saturday to Sunday. So most of the world was conquered by the Roman Catholic Church and forced to observe Sabbath on the day of the sun." Now let's dig deeper into one of these many languages for even more evidence that the knowledge of the true seventh day is available for those who genuinely seek it. I choose to explore the Spanish language because I am currently living in a Spanish-speaking country, so it is the foreign language that I am most familiar with. However, anyone interested in this subject can look into any of the dozens of world languages that reveal that the Sabbath is the day which the English-speaking world commonly refers to as Saturday. According to the Spanish calendar, the day which the English-speaking world refers to as Sunday is the seventh day of the week. As a Catholic country, this is the day when they choose to rest. The vast majority of Spaniards are 100% convinced that Domingo, which is what they call Sunday, is the seventh day of the week. They have never had reason to question this. Furthermore, the Bible tells them that the seventh day is the day of rest, so that's case closed as far as they are concerned. The Reina Valera, which is Queen Valerie Bible, is Spain's answer to the King James Version of the Bible. It repeatedly states that the seventh day is the day of rest. This can be found in Exodus chapter 16, verse 26, Exodus chapter 20, verse 10, Exodus chapter 31, verse 15, Exodus chapter 35, verse 2, Leviticus chapter 23, verse 3, and Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 14. Again, case closed, or so they think. However, the footnotes for every one of these verses in the Reina Valera or Queen Valerie Bible states, and I quote, "Aquí equivale a sábado," which means in English, this is equivalent to Saturday. To clarify, while millions of Spaniards are fully convinced that Domingo, or as English speakers say, Sunday, is the seventh day of the week and hence the Sabbath, one of their most trusted Bibles reveals that the true seventh day is actually Sábado, which English speakers call Saturday. All they need to do is look at the footnotes, and it's there every single time. The truth is hidden in plain sight for those who are diligent enough to seek it. In conclusion, while many people believe that the knowledge of the true seventh day has been completely lost, and others still continue to invent doctrines to create their own seventh day, the fact is, the true Sabbath has always been available to those who are diligent enough to seek it. I pray that those who desire to rest on the seventh day, as commanded by the Most High, will be empowered to do so, despite the changing opinions, doctrines, and calendars of the rest of the world. And with that, I say, Shalom.